Hello and welcome everyone to the Polity Primer series of Drishti IAS. My name is Pragya and I'm here today with a topic which is in news recently. The title of our today's discussion is Delhi Services Act GNCTD versus Delhi LG. On May 11, 2023, a judgment was passed by the Supreme Court in which it has been categorically held that the Delhi government has control over the administrative services in the city. What are these services? These services include the services of Group A officers such as IPS officers, IAS officers and the civil servants of the DANIX category. But it excludes three subjects. What are these three subjects? It is public law and order, land and police. In entry 41 of list 2. Entry 41 of list 2. So, on these three subjects, the parliament has an complete control. But apart from these subjects, the Delhi government has a legislative competence on them, such as the subjects mentioned in the list 2 and list 3. But it excludes these three subjects. So, and the Supreme Court also held that the Delhi LG will be bound by the decision of the Delhi government on all of those topics. What happened after this was an ordinance was passed, that is the GNCTD Amendment Ordinance of 2023 by the President, which essentially overturned this decision of the Supreme Court. The ordinance later became the Delhi Services Bill, and now after receiving the assent of our President, it is Delhi Services Act of 2023. In today's discussion, we'll try to understand why the central government and the Delhi government are at loggerheads with each other over the control of the services in the city. Before we proceed further, let us analyze the points of discussion of our today's session. So firstly, we'll see the background of the topic. Then we'll understand what is the tussle between the centre and the Delhi government. We'll also see the 69th Constitutional Amendment Act of 1991. We'll see why is Delhi not a state. Then we'll also see the Supreme Court verdict in this regard, and we'll also see the Delhi Services Act of 2023. And in the end, we'll see a practice question for your prelims examination and a practice question for your mains examination. Now let us proceed to understand the background of our today's discussion. So as I was discussing before, that the Delhi GNCTD Amendment Ordinance was passed by the President, which effectively gave the control of services to the LG, and it overruled the judgment of the Supreme Court. It was tabled as a bill in the Parliament, and after receiving the assent of the President, it is the Delhi Services Act of 2023. Now let us understand what is the focal point of tussle between the central government and Delhi government over the control of services. So the main point of tussle between the centre and the Delhi government is the control of the bureaucracy. What is this term bureaucracy? Bureaucracy is the organ of the government which is responsible for the administrative control of the state or a union territory. Then it also administers the day-to-day functioning of the state, and that is why it is so important for the Delhi government and the central government, because Delhi has a peculiar status. It is important both at the national level, and as it has a legislative assembly, it is important for the Delhi government as well. So the history dates back to 2015. And what happened in 2015? A notification was passed by the Union Home Ministry in which the power of the Delhi government over the control of services. What do we mean by this control? The control to have postings, the control to transfers, and the control of vigilance over the Group A and cadre officers and the DANIX cadre officers. So this power of the Delhi government over the control of services was effectively diluted by this 2015 notification. What is happening is that the central government also wants the control of services, and the Delhi government also wants the control of services. So before this, what used to happen was the Delhi had the same political party in power. But the situation changed after 2015 when the Aam Aadmi Party came into power. And since then, this control of services is the friction point between the central government and the Delhi government. But this includes 3 subjects. And what are these 3 subjects? These are public order, police and land. So, I have discussed this before also, that on these 3 subjects, the parliament has exclusive control. So, what happened in 2017 was, a case was filed in the Delhi High Court, in which the Delhi High Court gave the preference over to central government and held that the Delhi LG is supreme on the matters of the control of services, and his decision is binding on the Council of Ministers, and he is not even bound by the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. The Delhi High Court further held that Delhi Anti-Corruption Branch cannot proceed against the central government employees. So, this is what happened in 2017, and this judgment was challenged. This Delhi High Court judgment was challenged in the Supreme Court, and we'll study about it in our further slides. So, the main crux of the tussle relates to the extent of the power of the LG and the elected Chief Minister of Delhi under Article 239 capital AA. So, what is this Article 239 capital AA? It gives the special status of Delhi. So, Article 239 AA gives a special status to the Union Territory of Delhi, and this main crux of tussle between the central government and the Delhi government is this article itself. The Delhi High Court also held that all proposal for legislation for policy changes of the Delhi government must have the prior approval of the LG. So, the Delhi High Court also stated that the Delhi LG is supreme than the elected government, as he has a control over the policy decisions which the government is making, and this is why LG has been placed at a higher pedestal than the elected government. So, the Delhi government is contending on behalf of the people of Delhi that if we have a elected representative government, the central government cannot interfere in the day-to-day basis of the control of the Union Territory by through LG. So, this is the point of contention of the Delhi government in this tussle between the central government and the Delhi government. Now, let us understand what is the 69th Constitutional Amendment Act of 1991. So, by virtue of the Constitution 69th Amendment Act 1991, Delhi has been given a special status. As I was discussing before also, that this constitutional amendment added Article 239 AA, which recognizes the special status of the Delhi, and the Delhi is now known as the National Capital Territory of Delhi. The administrator appointed under Article 239 is designated as the Lieutenant Governor. So, this constitutional amendment also empowers the appointment of the LG under Article 239. Then, Delhi has a legislative assembly elected directly by the people under the supervision of the Election Commission of India. So, though Delhi is a UT, it has a legislative assembly, and this happens in Puducherry as well and the UT of Jammu Kashmir as well, that they both have elected representative, that is the legislative assembly, and both LG also. So, this is the special status which is given to Delhi because Delhi is important for both the central government and the state government. Now, let us proceed to see who has the law-making power in the Union Territory of Delhi. So, Parliament retains power to make laws with respect to any matter for the Union Territory. So, the law-making power is with Parliament, and this happens in the center-state relations as well, that the Parliament has residuary power. For example, there is one law which is made on the subject matter of list 2, that is the state list and the concurrent list. So, the state, what it can do, it can reserve the law for president's assent, and if the president gives his assent, the state law will prevail in that state. But the Parliament has the residuary power. What do we mean by this? That the Parliament can make a same law on the same subject, and in this case, the law made by the Parliament will be prevailed. So, this is what happens in the center-state relations as well, and this is what is recognized under Article 239, the capital AA also, that the Parliament has a power to make laws and the residuary power to make laws lies with the Parliament. In case of a repugnancy between a law made by the Parliament and a law made by the Legislative Assembly of Delhi, the former prevails over the latter to the extent of repugnancy. So this is what I was talking about, that this is the residuary power given to the Parliament, that it can make a law on similar law on the same subject, and in the case of repugnancy, the law made by the Parliament will prevail over the law made by the Legislative Assembly of Delhi. Then provision has been made for a Council of Ministers with the Chief Minister at the head to aid and advise the LG, except when he is required to act in his discretion by law. So LG in Delhi has discretionary powers as well, and when he is exercising that discretion, he is not bound by the aid and advice rendered to him by the Council of Ministers. So again, this reiterates the point that LG is superior to the elected government. He is placed on a higher pedestal than the elected government. Now let us proceed to see why Delhi is not a full complete state, why it is a union territory with a legislative assembly. So the National Capital Territory of Delhi enjoys a peculiar federal status with features of both a state and a union territory. How? Because it has both LG and elected government. That is why this peculiar status is enjoyed by the Delhi. And not only Delhi, this peculiar federal structure is enjoyed by Puducherry and the UT of Jammu and Kashmir as well. So apart from Delhi, Puducherry and Jammu and Kashmir also have an LG and an elected government. So under the Government of India Act also 1919 and the Government of India Act 1935, Delhi was retained as a centrally administered territory. So Delhi was the imperial capital when the Britishers were ruling over us, and it has always enjoyed this privilege of being a centrally administered territory, both in the Government of India Act 1919 and the Government of India Act 1935. The drafting committee was not in the favor of having a legislative assembly for the state. So when this drafting committee was formed to draft our Indian constitution, the need for having a legislative assembly for the state of Delhi was highly debated on the floor of the drafting committee. So it was finally decided that Delhi will not have a legislative assembly as apart from the opposition of various members. The drafting committee continued to bring its plan and forfeited Delhi's right to have a legislative assembly. It was to be governed exclusively by the president through a lieutenant governor appointed by him, which is the current status today as well. So this was originally in the drafting committee that Delhi should not have a legislative assembly. After this, what happened was a committee was set up known as the Pattabhi Sitaramaiah Committee in July 1947, and it recommended that Delhi should have a legislative assembly in place. So in 1951, the Government of Part C State Act allowed for a legislative assembly to be formed in the city. So when this the Government of Part C State Act was enacted in 1951, it allowed the Delhi to retain a legislative assembly. The State Reorganization Committee 1953 suggested removal of legislative assembly and setting up of municipal council. Municipal Corporation Act in 1957 provided for a municipal corporation to be elected in Delhi. So these were the changes made in 1953 and 57, that both of these acts suggested different things in apart from the legislative assembly. One act suggested the Delhi Municipal Council and one act suggested the Delhi Municipal Corporation. So this was all towards the demand of Delhi for having its own statehood. Like Delhi, there was a constant demand from the people of Delhi that Delhi should be a complete state, not a union territory or the centrally administered territory. So what happened after this was, in the 1960s, the municipal corporation was replaced by the Metropolitan Council to ensure greater representation of the people through 56 elected and 5 nominated members. So as this demand by the people of Delhi was growing that Delhi should be a complete state and not a union territory, this Metropolitan Council was formed and it had 56 elected representatives from the people of Delhi. The Sarkaria Commission recommended the reinstatement of a legislative assembly in Delhi. So when the Sarkaria Commission was formed, it was again debated that Delhi should have a legislative assembly, and the Sarkaria Committee recommended having a Delhi legislative assembly in place. Since 1991, the statehood of Delhi has been an electoral issue. So we were discussing that why Delhi is not a state, why it is so important for the central government, and why the people of Delhi are demanding a complete statehood for the union territory. So since 1991, this friction is going on that whether Delhi should be a state or whether it should be a union territory. Now let us proceed to see the Supreme Court verdicts in this regard. In 2018, the Constitution Bench of the Supreme Court, in its judgment, held that the National Capital Territory of Delhi is not similar to other union territories. So the Supreme Court said that not all union territories are similar in governance. For example, I stated that Delhi, Puducherry and Jammu and Kashmir have a legislative assembly in place, but the UT like Chandigarh does not have a legislative assembly. So the Supreme Court in its 2018 judgment, we were also seeing that the Delhi High Court judgment was challenged in the Supreme Court. So this is the challenge to the Delhi High Court judgment which happened in 2018, and the Supreme Court held that the National Capital Territory of Delhi is not similar to the other union territories. And the constituent power of the parliament was exercised to treat the government of NCT of Delhi as a representative form of government. So the Supreme Court also recognized the existence of the representative form of government, that is the Legislative Assembly of the Delhi. It was also held that the executive power of the National Capital Territory of Delhi is coextensive with its legislative power. That is, it shall extend to all matters with respect to which it has the power to legislate. This again brings the question of control of services. And in this judgment, the Supreme Court recognized that the National Capital Territory of Delhi has an executive power and that is coextensive with its legislative power. So this means that the government of National Capital Territory of Delhi has executive control over services as well. Now let us see what happened after this. Thus, the legislative and executive power of NCTD extends to all subjects in List 2 and List 3 except those explicitly excluded. So the Supreme Court again reiterated this fact that the National Capital Territory has executive powers and legislative competence over all the subject matters of List 2, that is the state list, and the List 3, that is the concurrent list, excluding those three subjects over which the Parliament has an exclusive power. However, in view of Article 239 AA, Clause 3, Subclause B, Parliament has the power to make laws with respect to all subjects in List 2 and List 3 for National Capital Territory of Delhi. So this is essentially talking about the residuary power of the Parliament, which we have discussed, and I was discussing also that though the NCTD has a legislative competence, but still the Parliament can make a law on the same subject, and the law made by the Parliament will prevail over the law made by the National Capital Territory of Delhi or the Delhi government. In 2019, a split verdict was delivered by a two-judges bench of the Supreme Court. So this judgment again was challenged and was referred to a higher bench of the Supreme Court, and in 2019, a split verdict was passed by the two-judges bench of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court recently ruled in the favor of the Delhi government on the issue of who controls the services in the capital. So, I was discussing this before also that on May 11, 2023, the Supreme Court essentially ruled in the favor of the National Capital Territory of Delhi, the Delhi government, that it has the exclusive control over the subjects mentioned in the entry 41 of List 2 and List 3. But excludes the subject over which the Parliament has an exclusive control. The Constitution Bench of Dr. D.Y. Chandrachud Chief Justice of India, M.R. Shah, Krishna Murari, Hema Kohli and P.S. Narasimha held the following. So what was the observations of the Supreme Court in these cases? The first observation is there does not exist a homogeneous class of union territories with similar governance structures. So I was explaining this before also that all of the governance of the union territories is not similar in nature, and Delhi differs from other union territories. It was further held by the Supreme Court that the Legislative Assembly of NCTD has competence over entries in list 2 and list 3 except for the explicitly excluded entries over which the parliament has a control. So the Supreme Court in this case reiterated what it observed in its 2018 judgment, that the Delhi government has legislative competence over all of the matters included in list 2 and list 3. In addition to the entries in list 1, parliament has the legislative competence over all matters in list 2 and list 3 in relation to NCTD, including the entries which have been kept out of the legislative domain of NCTD by virtue of Article 239 Clause 3 Subclause A, which recognizes the lawmaking power of the parliament with respect to the National Capital Territory of Delhi. It was further held that the parliament has executive competence only on the 3 subjects which are included. So now this distinguishes between the legislative competence of the parliament and the executive competence of the parliament. The parliament has an executive competence only on those 3 subjects and not on the other subjects which are mentioned in the list 2 and list 3. This means that the Supreme Court recognized the control of services of the Delhi government, that the Delhi government has an executive control over the services in the Union Territory. Thus, it was finally concluded by the Supreme Court that NCTD has legislative and executive power over services, that is entry 41 of list 2 of the 7th schedule. So, finally the Supreme Court ruled in the favor of the Delhi government and gave the control of services to the Delhi government. So now let us discuss the Delhi Services Act and the provisions of the Delhi Services Act 2023. And I was discussing that this judgment of the Supreme Court was essentially overturned by bringing the GNCTT Amendment Ordinance of 2023, which later turned into the Delhi Service Bill, and now it is an act as it has received the assent of the President. So, let us discuss the important provisions of the Delhi Services Act 2023. To overturn the Supreme Court judgment in favor of the Delhi government, the central government introduced the Delhi Services Bill. And the Delhi Services Bill states that the inquiries and suspensions of the official of the National Capital Territory will be under the centre's control. So, this effectively brought the control of services in the hands of the central government, which the Supreme Court had stated that no, the Delhi government has the power of it, over it. So, this is not the first time the parliament is trying to overturn a Supreme Court judgment. It has happened before also, like in 1951, when the Champakam Dorai Rajan case came. The first Constitution Amendment Act was enacted by the parliament. Then, when the Supreme Court in its judgment recognized that there can be no immediate arrest under the SC/ST Atrocities Act, the Supreme Court again, the Parliament again made an amendment and recognized the power of immediate arrest, which was diluted by the Supreme Court. And the similar happened in this case also, where to overturn the Supreme Court judgment, the Parliament brought the Delhi Services Bill. Now, what does the important provision of this bill is that the central government has the power over the control of services. It has power over the postings, transfers and vigilance of the Group A and Annex civil servants. It has established the National Capital Civil Services Authority, also known as the NCCSA. So, this body has been established under the Delhi Services Bill and now the Delhi Services Act. So, the special provision is the creation of this authority, which is now responsible for the control of services, and it will decide the postings, transfers and the vigilance of the Group A officers and the Annex officers in the Union Territory of Delhi. So, what is the composition of this NCCSA? it comprises of 3 members. And who are these 3 members? These 3 members are the CM of Delhi, then the Principal Home Secretary and the Chief Secretary of Delhi. So, again we can see that the CM is in minority and the authority comprises of 3 officials, that is the CM of Delhi and 2 other senior bureaucrats known as the Principal Home Secretary, definitely due to the special status of Delhi, and the Chief Secretary of Delhi. And the Lieutenant Governor will be empowered to exercise his sole discretion on various matters, which will include the National Capital Civil Services Authority's recommendations and the prorogation, summoning and dissolution of the Delhi Legislative Assembly. So, this act also places the Lieutenant Governor over a higher pedestal than the elected representative government. And the final decision lies with the LG on various issues and he can act in his discretion. So, this was the important provision of the Delhi Services Act 2023 and it effectively places the control of services in the hands of central government. So, now with this we come to conclusion of our today's discussion. We have seen that what is the tussle between the central government and the Delhi government, why are they at loggerheads with each other. We have also seen why is Delhi not a full state. We have also seen the Supreme Court verdicts in this regard and we have also analyzed the important provision of the Delhi Services Act of 2023. Now, let us discuss a practice question for your prelims examination. The question is, consider the following statements regarding the Delhi Services Act. The first statement is, it states that the inquiries and suspensions of national capital officials will fall under the jurisdiction of the central government. The second statement is, it empowers the Lieutenant Governors in matters like prorogation, summoning and dissolution of the Delhi Legislative Assembly. The National Capital Civil Services Authority gives the central government a significant say in the transfers and posting of the officials in Delhi. So, as we have discussed in our today's discussion that all of these 3 statements are correct. So, your correct answer will be option D, that is statement 1, 2 and 3, all of the statements are correct. Now, let us see a practice question for your mains examination. The question is, how will the Delhi Services Act impact the relation between the Union and the Delhi government? So, kindly answer this, practice this question for your mains answer writing practice. I hope this session was insightful for you. If you liked today's discussion, kindly like the video and subscribe to our channel for more such updates. Thank you.